Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Nafi's Not Facing Garden. Today is a beautiful late spring morning and I just finished mowing my lawn. I'm putting down some treatment for the spring/summer, and I thought I'll do a little update to see what's growing in this small yard of mine. Here's a cute little basket. I really liked it. I picked it up because it's early spring, but it's still going strong, and I'll just change to summer annuals when they're done. I'm just admiring the view and taking a look at my roses. I think for me this year, my first bloom might actually be coming from the Poet's Wife. It's already having color to the buds and it's loaded now. It's got tons of buds on it and they're actually starting to color up. So I have a feeling that my first rose of the year might be Poet's Wife, but I have to say that it's grown really large this year. And if anyone knows anything about the Poet's Wife, it's got a tendency to be quite dramatic. It can be all over the place. So this year I've put up bamboo stakes in it to sort of help it stay more confined to its space, but for scale it's grown really tall. This bamboo is about 1.2 meters and you can see it's quite dramatic this year. My hostas are coming on nicely with fresh green foliage. I love this stage when the new growth emerges. They're so beautiful. And I have the other variety coming through as well, and this is the least sprouted, but is also coming up nicely. My spring bulbs are still on show. This is a Queen of the Night and an imposter in there. My hyacinths are well gone beyond their bloom. I just left these. I'm actually in the process. I've taken off the bigger display, the flower displays, and I'm just waiting because I intend to cure these. I'll just wait for the leaves. I'll feed them, wait for the leaves to go over, turn brown, crispy, and then I'll harvest the bulbs for next year, hopefully. And I don't know if any one of you saw a video where I was showing this. It's called Susie Climbing Rose, and I was demonstrating how you can get your roses to branch out more lateral canes, and this was the rose in that clip. As you can see, the laterals are really coming on nicely, and it's beautifully putting up new basal canes. This is what you want every year. Oh, that's out of focus. So every year you're looking for new basal canes which are gonna replace and hopefully add to the main canes which you can train for the following year. And then again, just a row of roses at different stages of leafing out, different stages of bud formation, and I sort of interplanted the roses with some creeping plants because the soil in my property is pretty bad soil. In fact, if you look at this is where I've sort of done bottomless containers for my rose arch. So I've done bottomless containers, but I've half embedded the bottomless containers into the ground so that when I'm doing the lawn, I don't nip them accidentally. That serves as a barrier. So I've done these two. This is Bathsheba. I have moved it from elsewhere, and this is my new dawn. But if you see the quality of my soil, it's full of builder's rubble and stuff. So yeah, but I've heavily amended the planting container and the planting hole for the benefit of the roses. And I'll just do a little bit of, so that's the new dawn there, and that's Bathsheba. And behind Bathsheba again is another planter of my spring bulbs. The hyacinths are done in that, and I have deadheaded them, and I still have some of the tulips on show. This is Gavota. It's a very good long-lasting spring bulb. I highly recommend, and I just get them every year from Wilco. and they're very long lasting flowering bulbs. And yay. So as I said, I move on. I've underplanted the pots in between them. It's because it's like rocky poor soil, so it's alpine friendly. And I've done albrecia and some creeping phlox, and they were really little 9 cm plugs, and they've done really well for this year. Hopefully, I think the spread for each plant is about 30 centimeter. So hopefully with each year they will sort of grow and creep. And my dream is to have a purple carpet underneath the roses come every spring when the roses are leafing out. So that's the agenda. And in the extreme corner, again, some of these daffodils have not emerged. You can imagine. I think this might be a fail for this year. But then I have tulips at different stages. Some of them need deadheading. It has just been really windy recently and they've given up. And behind there is my iceberg rose and one of my clematis. I think is, oh sorry, there's noise. You know, in the spring, when you have a beautiful sunny day like this, everyone just remembers they have 1 or 2 chores in their garden. But it's a beautiful, beautiful day, and I'm off work, so I'm just taking in the smell of freshly cut grass. And at this order, and I love this combination of the red tulips with the dwarf tulips that are striped with white. It's really lovely. I might repeat this combination next year. Actually, it's really, really lovely. And I have 3 dwarf azaleas which are just putting on color now. And some of the narcissus and daffodils there are gone over. This just shows this is a sunnier end, and if you see the gradation, this is a more shady area, and the daffodils are longer lasting. I love that one with the vivid orange trumpet. It really stands out. Really beautiful. I'm going to look after them properly, let them soak up all the energy. I would love to have them next year. More tulips in the back and some alliums which obviously are yet to emerge. This is another beautiful, this is a beautiful double camellia. Some of the blooms are going over now, but it was, in fact, it's a little plant, but it's just studded with blooms, and they're double, quite big relative to the size of my palm. You can see there. But if you look at this camellia, it's actually got a little bit of more sun, and it hasn't fared as well as the other one, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. So I love the daffodils. And here is Queen of Sweden leafing out nicely. I think that's Graham Thomas. And another favorite of mine that I recommend for any spring border in the shade is Brunnera. It does the most amazing display in the spring, and then it's contrasted nicely with the bleeding heart, which is pink, Dicentra spectabilis. I love this combination. This Dicentra was from Farmer Gracie as bare root last year, but it has, I kid you not, it's doubled in size. But I have to say, I really amended this soil annually, and in fact this year again I'm going to put a combination of multipurpose compost and farmyard manure. I top it up, do a little bit of I mix it up, and just be careful for the new emergence, because you can damage your new emerging. Like this hostas are newly emerging, you have to be careful. So that's what I do to keep the border tip top. But I love this Dicentra. Just look at that, nature is amazing, like a little jewel, blue jewel. And on close-up actually there are little drops, I don't know if you can see, little drops of maybe nectar or something in there. It's beautiful with the Brunera. This is another bleeding heart. This is bleeding heart alba. It's got white jewels as I like to call them, but it always comes later in the year compared to the pink one. And again, that's my one of the geraniums. In the back there is limelight, but by the time the limelight will be wanting to do his show, I would have cut back the dicentra. I just make the most of the border as I have a small planting space. Here's another Brunera, again beautiful. I think it sort of resembles the forget-me-not, but this is Brunera Jack Frost. It's a different plant from the forget-me-not. And I don't know if you could tell, this is like my shade end. So I have all these shade loving plants, Brunera, dicentra, and I have those cottage plants, that's delphinium, lupin, and I think there's a foxglove there, and my beautiful fern, which I have cut out the old leaves, and these are the new bronze green fronds emerging for the year. I love it. And this is my bonus Brunera, which self-seeded from one of the mommy plants. So the bonus with perennials is that you actually get new plants annually, and that's a little acorn grass. More hostas yet to emerge. Like I said, one needs to take care when you're putting up mulch and another hosta over here. We just need to take care when we're amending the soil. And talking about self-seeding perennials, I've actually got some salvia here, and I just noticed a little baby salvia. So I'll let this grow on this year. This was from last year, I think, so it's self-seeded. This can be a runner. It's quite far away from the parent plant. So I'll let it grow on this year, and I'll probably transfer it to another pot. And moving on, I wanted to show you what I meant by the camellias loving the shade more. This is the bigger camellia, which is a single flowering type. It's bicolor, and in contrast to the other camellia, the blooms have lasted longer here. It's been in bloom from February, I kid you not, but I love it. It's one of my oldest plants in my garden. When we moved into this new build, it was a little camellia, and it's grown so well. It's really loved, and after the bloom, again, I just continue feeding with ericaceous Miracle Grow, because the budding happens in the summer, and then you need to water it. It loves rainwater, but I use tap water because I don't have a water bot. But it does really well every year, and it just keeps giving. The more love, the more it gives. And look at the healthy dark foliage and beautiful blooms studded all over there. And last thing I'm going to show is my hydrangea. Now this I'm showing because I learned a lesson the hard way last year. This is a really big hydrangea plant, but I only had 2 blooms on it. What happened? Late frost damage. So this year I have expertly overwintered it in the garage, and every apical end it's got a baby bloom. So anyone who wants or who has suffered from lack of blooms from their hydrangea, what you need to do is make sure you overwinter them. Either put fleece on it, or make sure you put it, I just put it in the garage, and when it started to I think around April, I brought it back out. The leaves were yellow, but they've all colored up nicely and greened up now. And then I also applied the Miracle Grow hydrangea and azalea food, and it's looking really healthy and green, and there will be a very good display this year. So hopefully by the time this will be in bloom, the hydrangea will the camellia would be just an interest, because it's evergreen, a nice foliage, green healthy foliage, and this will be on show. And here's my lollipop tree, which does nothing, but again it's there. But sadly, I don't know what's happened. This beautiful my rose pole Himalayan musk, it's really covering nicely the wall, and I think it's not going to be okay here. I might have to go eventually, but I'll see what it displays this year. It's already having mildew quite early in the season. I'm going to try with the bicarbonate as everyone recommends, but I can see the The leaves are curling up, and I just think this is mildew. If anyone knows otherwise, please let me know. But yes, I think I love this combination of the pink and the dwarf. I'm going to try this last year. Some random daffodils that have come back from last year, and a few tulips which I'm surprised they're usually treated as annuals, but they popped up. But quite a few, it was more than that. And then the last but not the least, what I'm happy to show you is my Clematis Montana Pink Perfection, which is slowly making its way. This is 3 years in my garden. It's slowly making its way across my fence. I like to keep it bare in the bottom, so when it puts on growth, I just keep digging it in. I'm using galvanized wire here, and it's a beautiful Pink Perfection, and there are still buds waiting to open. By the time it's done, it'll be a wall of flowers. This time of the year, whenever I'm driving, I just see clematis everywhere. There's Montana, these are the spring flowering ones, and they're just beautiful, and I love it. It's a point every year. So my aim is to have it go over the fence, and then I will just keep it tamed, because I have actually seen people who only keep it in a mound, so it just goes over and over itself. And the advice, the care for them is, if you're going to prune, you prune immediately after flowering, because they flower on old wood, and you don't want to be cutting them in the spring. You're going to cut your buds off, so you cut them immediately after flowering. And simple planter, a bacopa, and some petunias and fuchsias. Nothing fancy this year, because I have a lot of potted roses, and those take a lot of time, and hanging baskets are not, to get very lovely displays takes a lot of time, watering, feeding, and I think with the amount of potted roses I have this year, I cannot have a very big display this year. So I've gone for simple petunias here, there, and there, and that is my lovely arch with Bathsheba and Iceberg. I can't wait to see what they do this year. And that's a little update from my north facing garden, although there's a lot of sun now, but it's mostly morning sun, and then it just ends up over there once the shade of the building falls over. But yes, that's all I have in my little north facing garden, because I still need a lot of space for kids to run around and have fun, and I'm yet to put down the swings. But yes, thank you for watching if you made it till the end. Bye.